At the completion of this video, you will know how to identify leader standard work, the benefits of visual management in your workplace, how to create a daily accountability process in your organization, the value of leadership through the Gemba.
Hello, I'm Mike Micklewright, and in the last training session, we talked about the importance of leadership and humility in leading a lean transformation or turnaround by building a lean culture. We talked about the 4 critical elements in building a lean culture. They are leader standard work, visual management, the daily accountability process, and leadership via the Gemba. We also talked about how all must be present. All are very interdependent amongst each other. They intertwine, they react, and they are dependent on each other. They fight the law of entropy, and the law of entropy states that any given system will proceed in the direction of disorder, unless, of course, there's a control system. That's what these lean cultural elements are. They're control systems to negate and avoid disorder of the system. They create the discipline to ensure that the process is run as designed and to improve the process. And they support the leadership attributes and help to develop future leaders. Now, leadership, again, is one of the key principles in both Lean and an ISO 9001 based business management system. You can read more about some of this material in David Mann's book, Creating a Lean Culture. Now, we start with leader standard work. What does this do and what is it about? Well, first of all, we all know and understand that it's common for people to have standard work. But usually we think of this at the lowest levels within an organization, perhaps an operator. Their work, their day might be dictated by mostly standard work throughout the entire day. But we typically don't associate standard work with leaders or managers and supervisors all the way up to the CEO. But isn't it true that we all have, in a business environment, we all have some standard things that we need to do? So it would make sense that we all have standard work. So standard work allows for us to have a dual focus on both process and results. In many organizations, the focus is only on the results, and we look at the results perhaps monthly or quarterly. That's not good enough. That's too late. The activity, the problems, the good things have already occurred, and by the time you review at the end of the month or the quarter, it's too late to react. So we want a dual focus on the process plus the results, a way to focus us in on the process as it's occurring. This is not just management in a conference room. This is management and leadership where the work and the value is being created. Now, for many people, this is very difficult to accomplish. And in fact, some people say that 20% of managers cannot make this leap. They have a difficult time to transition into the idea of having standard work for themselves. Why is that? Oh, I suppose there's many reasons. And we could look into it. We could ask ourselves, why would this be difficult? Perhaps it's because of accountability. And now I have to do certain things per a prescribed schedule. And that's difficult for me to do because my day varies tremendously. But the problem is, if we don't do the standard work, then certain things that are important to the organization don't get done, like continuous improvement. This also applies to office employees, or employees in a hospital, or an accounting firm, or a construction site. Leader standard work also provides for clear and unambiguous expectations, which is very much needed. Let's say a boss leaves the organization and a new boss comes in. They have a different way of doing things. The company changes, or at least that department or process changes. There's no continuity of what's important to the organization because people have different ways of doing things. We need to have that continuity. Or a person leaves for vacation, and all of those activities that that leader would normally do don't happen during that week. I remember one organization that I did some work for. They were opening up a new site overseas. And some of their supervisors had to leave to go overseas, sometimes for months at a time. It was very easy with leader standard work. When that person went overseas, the person who reported to him was taught how to do his or her standard work. And they followed up with his or her standard work throughout the entire time that those people were gone overseas. The continuity of work and the leadership expectations continued on. Leader standard work also promotes humility and leadership. It gives a sense of that we're all in this together, we all have standard things to do, and we're all completing our standard work accordingly. Now, given the level that you are in within an organization, the amount of standard work that is dictated or dictates your day varies tremendously. So an operator, perhaps 95% of his or her time is dictated by standard work. You go to the next level up, a team leader, and perhaps 75% of their time is dictated by standard work. And the next level, supervisor, perhaps 50%. And all the way up to the CEO, who would still have standard work, maybe only 5 or 10% of his or her time would be dictated by standard work. But the point is, everyone has it. And it's important for the entire organization and all the employees to know that everyone has standard work. Once again, this applies to you.